Hello. Um, Good to see you. I can't see you. It's awkward trying to think of what to say when I'm just on camera. I can't see you or actually talk to you. Comment down below, then we can talk. Well, welcome to the first Witchy Wednesday. Fun. So, in case you didn't see any of my posts about this on my website or on my Facebook page, I might have posted it on Instagram, I don't remember for certain. Either way, I'm going to start a series on Wednesdays where I do a little video related to witchy things. So, in addition to being a tarot reader, I am also a witch. That still sounds weird to say sometimes just because of the stigma around the word. Interesting. Anyway, so let's talk about some things. Today I'm basically just going to be going over like my practice and my beliefs and that kind of thing. Feel free to ask any questions you have in the comments below. I'm pretty open. So unless it's getting like real personal, I'll probably answer. So what I'm going to do on these days, today I'm going to be talking about my practice and my beliefs. I'll just be talking about things, maybe something I'm researching then, a book I read, a YouTube channel or video I like, an article I found, something related to witchiness. So, I just realized I didn't put up my tarot cards from doing my draw earlier. Let me put that away. I don't want my cats to knock them down. So I tend to do videos pretty casual. Nothing all like structured and formal. Just sitting at my desk. My cats are sleeping in various places in the house. That's about it. One of them's in that chair. That chair right there. Let's see if you can see him. Hey, kitty in the chair. Anyway. Alright, so first, you do not have to be a witch to do tarot. Tarot is not associated with a religion at all. You can be atheist and do tarot. You can be Christian and do tarot. You can be, whatever religious beliefs or non-beliefs you have and do tarot. There are people who believe that to do tarot, you are tapping into like the divine, or you have spirit guides that are helping you or something like that. And so those people are obviously going to believe in that. There are others, though, that believe tarot is simply tapping into your own intuition and your own subconscious. So these are things you already knew, tarot just brings them out because they weren't in your conscious mind where you could access them easily. Even though I do believe in spirit guides and such, I believe that most of the time tarot is just your intuition and subconscious. But I believe spirit guides can help. So, that's the first thing. You don't have to be any type of religion or a witch to do tarot. I happen to be a witch. Also, being a witch does not mean you have to be any type of religion. There are all kinds of witches out there. There are Christian witches. There are atheist witches. There are all kinds of witches out there. There is no set rule for being a witch. And if anyone tells you there is, they're wrong. Because there is not one true path or one correct path. Some people like to believe it has to be hereditary. That's not true. Witchcraft itself is not a religion. You can make it one, but it is not one. When it comes to my religious views, there's not a particular term. I know we like to give names to everything, but there's not a particular name that fits for me. Spiritual, but that's very vague still. I I did start out on this path as a Wiccan. I don't really consider myself Wiccan anymore because there's a lot of things in the path that just don't mesh with me. So my sort of motto, I guess, when it comes to spirituality, witchcraft, even tarot, is take what fits for you and leave the rest. So, because in all of those things, there is no one right way. So I took the things from Wicca that fit for me, and I don't do the things that don't fit. And I'll get some more of that. So I would be considered like an eclectic witch, because there are different like witchcraft styles, areas, like a hedge witch, water witch, a fire witch, elemental witches. Like there's so many different categories of witches, and then I would be considered more like eclectic, or even a chaos witch, because I take from each of those things what I like, what feels right to me. Side note on chaos, magic and chaos witches. There seems to be not a complete consensus on what that even means. There's a couple of YouTubers I watch that consider themselves chaos witches, and they say basically a chaos witch is taking things from different paths and choosing what they want to do with it. They're kind of making their own thing. But then there are others that say chaos witches focus on intention rather than like tools and ritual and things like that. I actually fit both of those definitions, so I would be considered a chaos witch. I see. I would also be considered solitary, as in I practice by myself, not in like a coven or a group or anything. I would like to have some local witchy friends just to kind of like, you know, hey, let's go have lunch, talk about what's going on, you know, that kind of thing. And I don't have any right now. But I don't want like a coven or something like that. First of all, covens have rules, and I don't believe there are rules in witchcraft. I just don't. So, for me, as long as you're not hurting other people, I don't care what you're doing. You know, if you want to worship the sun, if you want to call down the moon, if you want to worship the trees, if you don't want to worship anything, whatever, as long as you're not hurting anyone or shoving your beliefs down other people's throats and saying that your way is the only way, then I don't have a problem with you. So, you know, do your thing. Do what makes you happy. This is going to be a little like jumping around from topic to topic because there's like multiple topics I want to cover. I have my notes right there up on my computer screen. Okay, so let's talk about the elements a little bit. The main elements are air, fire, water, and earth. And I do like working with the elements, and I do feel connected to all four elements. I actually used to think that I wasn't really connected to earth at all. Like, I'm not a big fan of nature. I love animals, don't get me wrong, I love animals. But, I am not even exaggerating when I say I hate the sun. I truly do hate the sun. My eyes are really sensitive to sunlight. So if I don't have sunglasses on that are like really dark, the sun will hurt my eyes. The sun, being oh so bright as it is a potential trigger for my migraines. I have chronic migraines, so I don't like it for that reason. You know, it makes things hot. Not always. I like it when it's like in the 70s, maybe even low 80s, but let's not get too crazy there. My hair is driving me crazy. I don't know why. That's why I keep messing with it though. I truly, I don't like the sun. I just don't. Also, when it comes to nature and being outdoors, I actually have a phobia of bugs, spiders, insects, that kind of thing. Especially if they fly or jump. Um, 'Cause if it's something crawling around, you know, on the floor or on the ground, I can get away from it. But if it jumps or flies, I can't. And I'm not, like, I have a phobia of it. Like, I really, truly do. Like, if a bee flies towards me, I am literally going to run screaming. Um, Spiders, I've actually been bitten by spiders, so. I don't like bugs. There's a few I can tolerate. Because I wouldn't say my phobia is necessarily to all bugs, but it's to a lot of them. Like, definitely to spiders. Definitely to roaches. That gives me a reaction that I can't even explain. Like, if I see one in my home, I will want to move out. Like, I will not be comfortable in the home anymore. I had a dramatic experience with roaches once when I was a teenager and stayed over at somebody's house, so let's not talk about that. That'll get me going again. But anyway, things that fly though, like, I'm okay with like butterflies, because butterflies are pretty, right? As long as they don't just like really suddenly fly at me, because then it will startle me, because I get startled easily. That's probably has something to do with why I dislike bugs so much. They just kind of appear sometimes. Or you didn't know it was there, and then all of a sudden you see it, and yeah. I don't know. Anyway, my phobia of bugs is why I'm not a nature person. And there are some days that I feel like I could be strong. And I could be like, you know what? If a bee flew towards me, I could just stand there. And even if it landed on my arm, you know, if you don't mess with it, it shouldn't sting you, right? And I can, like, logic that out in my brain. But if I tried to put that into practice, I would run screaming. So I don't like nature. And that's one of the reasons that I thought I wasn't really connected to the earth element. So, air and water, I feel, are the two I'm most connected to. My sun sign is Gemini, which is air. I have a love-hate relationship with water. I absolutely love water. The sounds of water relax me. I love the sound of rain. I love taking baths and just relaxing. But I have a fear of drowning. Like, I don't like to put my face in water. Like, ever. Because I have a fear of drowning. And I don't know where it came from. But it's there. So, while I love water, I also am afraid of water. I kind of feel the same about fire. Like, I love to watch, like, a candle flame dance, you know? And I love, like, the smell of fire, like, burning something. But also fire scares me because it burns. And it can be incredibly destructive. Air doesn't scare me. I'm cool with air. But Earth, I never really thought I was connected to, and then I've only recently realized that I'm actually pretty connected to Earth. Like, I absolutely love crystals. Like, this is a rose quartz I have. Crystals are Earth. I love crystals. I've loved rocks even since I was a child. I loved rocks. That's Earth. So yeah, I'm connected to all four elements, and I like to work with all the elements. You already know I do tarot and oracle. I don't use those as a telling the future. I use tarot and oracle as an empowering tool. A tool to improve ourselves, to find our happiness, to find our soul's purpose, to find fulfillment. That's what I use tarot for. I don't use tarot for telling the future. And honestly, I don't think that's a good use of it. That's my opinion. The reason I don't feel like it's a good use of tarot is because telling the future does nothing for your benefit as far as your own improvement and your own empowerment. Also, this future is never set in stone. You know, I could tell you today what I see for your future in 3 months, but just the fact that I told you that, you may make different decisions now than you would have. And that could greatly alter what actually happens in 3 months. Because the future is not, it's not set in stone. It's just not. It can change at any time. Basically, that would just be one of many possible futures. And what good does that do you to know that that could be one of possible futures, you know? It does nothing for your own self-development. I don't generally like to do relationship readings either for a similar thing. Now, if you realize you have issues with love and you want to work on yourself, like, what do I need to do to open my heart to love? What do I need, to look at within myself to attract a partner? Something like that. That is self-development. I consider that self-development, not relationship. Even though it's trying to get you to eventually getting into a relationship, I consider that self-development, and I'm more than happy to do that. I am not a fan of tarot readings where the question is something like, when is he going to call me? Or, I have this female friend that I really like, and I want to know if it would work out with us if I tell her. Or should I tell her my feelings, and when will I find the one, and things like that. First of all, I don't believe in the one anyway, so, but I'm not a fan of those type of readings because it does nothing to empower yourself. I want to empower you to take control of your future. And does she have feelings for me, or does he have feelings for me? That doesn't empower you. That does nothing to empower you at all. If anything, it's a cheat. Because, without tarot, you would either have to decide to talk to them or not, right? So you're trying to use tarot to get a glimpse so that you don't have to quite be so brave. Does that make sense? If you didn't know, you'd have to be really brave and talk to them, right? Or let it go. But if you get a tarot reading and the tarot reading says, oh yeah, they have feelings for you, now you don't have to be as brave. It's a cheat. That is a cheat. Just saying. That's just my thoughts. Don't take that personally. I'm just telling you what I like to do with tarot. Self-empowerment. Okay? Tarot is great at helping make decisions, and it's again about empowering yourself. So it's not, should I take this job, or should I quit my current job? Because that's not empowering. That is asking tarot to make the decision for you, which takes the power off of you. Instead, let's see. Okay, we have choice A and choice B. Let's look at what these two choices might look like, or what they might do for you. Are they going to make you happier? Are they going to, or are they going to make it worse? Are they going to better your situation? Are they going to really better your situation? That would be more self-empowering. That's giving you the tools to make a decision for yourself. Okay? So that's my feelings on tarot. Again, you don't have to be a witch to do tarot, though. Just saying. Just a reminder. So, next topic. I told you we're going to be jumping from topic to topic. So, reincarnation. I do believe in reincarnation. I believe we have one soul that has lived in many, many lives. I haven't quite figured out for certain what I believe for if or when that cycle ends. I'm not 100% sure on how I feel about that. Part of me feels like You go through these cycle of lives with your soul. Your soul does, until like all these lessons are learned that you need, and then you move on to whatever the after is. But I kind of feel like that's not completely the case. Also, I kind of feel more like we're basically immortal in the sense that our souls are constantly going to reincarnate. You might take a break between lives, because your soul knows a hell of a lot more than you do, and maybe your soul needs to take some time and reflect on this life and what was learned and that sort of thing. So I'm not 100% sure on what I believe is the after of reincarnation, or if there is an after, if we just keep reincarnating infinitely. I know some souls are older than others, but I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I do believe in reincarnation. Deities. Alright, let's talk about deities. So, there's an ice cream truck outside, just in case you hear that. You might hear it. Huh. So traditionally in Wicca, most Wiccans worship or work with a male deity and a female deity, a god and goddess. They may not give them names, or they may choose specific names. So when I look at deities, like go through mythology, you know, the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods, the Norse gods, the Celtic gods, the Native American gods, the Hindu gods, like all of that, even the Christian God, and the other, you know, Jesus and Mary and all of that. To me, what those are is their archetypes. I feel like they're archetypes to help us better understand things. And I also feel like they sort of exist as like a form of energy. Because over the millennia, they have been worshipped by people. Or people have connected with them. You know, back in ancient Greek times, they actually worshipped the Greek gods. More modern day pagans don't necessarily worship them. Some of them look at it as more like I'm working with you, not worshiping you type thing. So I look at it more like that. I don't look at it as that I'm worshiping them. But so much energy has been poured into these archetypes that I feel like they do exist as a form of energy. You know, not they're physically hanging around up in the clouds somewhere, but they're a form of energy that we can call on when we need help. I look at deities as they're all quite different in their archetypes. I lost something I was gonna say while I was talking about the archetypes and the energies. What was I gonna say? Damn it. Damn it. I think it had to do with worshipping. Oh, okay, yeah, worshipping. So, a lot of pagans or Wiccans or other religions will give like offerings to the deities they want to work with. I personally don't do offerings. It doesn't feel right to me. To me, if I'm giving an offering, it's like, it's more of a worship situation then. Whereas I tend to connect to the deities energetically and exchange energy with them. That's how I approach them. Now, when it comes to what deities I work with, there's a lot of people that only work with like 2 or even 1. I actually have several I work with. I'm very connected with some of the deities in the Greek pantheon because when I was a child, I had a couple of books on Greek mythology and I read them multiple times and I loved them. As a child, I've loved anything to do with the moon since I was a child. I very much remember loving Artemis, moon goddess. I loved Athena. I loved Aphrodite. It was male or the females. I can't remember if there was anyone else when I was a child. I know those three were definitely favorites of mine though. But I read tons of stories, Arachne and then also the Roman deities that are like the equivalents, Aphrodite and Venus, for example. So the Greek gods I'm connected to. I'm also very connected to the Egyptian pantheon, and my feeling there as to why I am is I believe I've lived at least one, probably multiple past lives in Egypt. And at least one of those I was pretty high up in the hierarchy. So I'll give you a few of the deities I work with. I tend to work with darker deities, like shadow, underworld, night, moon, that kind of stuff. From Greek mythology, Nyx is a primordial goddess. She is the personification of night, or goddess of the night. She's one I work with sometimes. Aphrodite's probably one of the few I work with that's not dark in any way. I work with Persephone sometimes from the Greek pantheon because she does that transition. If you don't know her mythology, she spends 6 months out of every year above ground and 6 months of every year in the underworld with Hades. She is the queen of the underworld. So she has that dark aspect to her. I also work with Inanna a bit, and Inanna is very similar to Persephone, but she's from, I think, Sumerian mythology. It has a similar type of story, not to the point that she spends 6 months of each, but she has journeyed to the underworld and back. And then from Egyptian mythology, I work with Bast, goddess of cats. She's also associated with the moon, protector of women, things like that. And the only male god I'm going to mention is from Egypt, and that's Anubis. So Anubis is still basically god of the dead, but Osiris kind of took over that job from him when he was killed. But Anubis is still god of the underworld and god of the afterlife, and I still consider him a god of the dead. I feel more like they work together on that, because he's still god of the underworld and god of the afterlife, and that's very connected with death. I've recently found that Anubis is actually my patron deity. I connected to him. I've connected to him a few times, but a few days ago I really deeply connected with him, and that's how I feel about it now. I need something for him on my altar. I have something for Bast, actually 2 things for Bast, plus I wear Bast around my neck, right here. But I don't have anything for Anubis, and I definitely want something for him. I don't have a matron deity that I know of yet. I find it really hard to just sort of like commit to one deity, because my personality type is one that sees like multiple sides of everything. So it's like, okay, I love Nyx, she's the goddess of the night, she's helped me deal with my fear of the dark. Okay, but wait, because, Aphrodite has helped me deal with self-love and loving others. That's important. Okay, but then, Persephone helped me, so like, they all have such different aspects. And, I don't know that I could choose just one. Male deities I don't connect with as much. And I know the mythologies are just mythologies. Like, I don't necessarily consider all the mythology stories to be accurate. I feel like the aspects we give these gods, like Anubis, god of the underworld, are going to be true. That's going to be part of their archetype, because that's the energy that's been poured into them by their, followers and worshippers and such. But the actual individual stories may not necessarily be true. It's a myth somebody made up. It might be true. Maybe, that person connected with that deity and this deity told them the story. Who knows? But for the most part, I don't necessarily believe the individual mythologies, but I have a real problem with male deities, especially in the Greek pantheon, because almost every one of them has stories of them doing horrible things to women, including rape. um, or tricking them into having sex and things like that, and I'm not okay with that. And while I know, again, that these individual stories are probably not true, most likely they're stories that humans just gave to the deities to make them more human-like, they have faults, and that sort of thing, and, you know, patriarchal society more so, so it makes sense that it would be more, maybe negative towards women. I can't get past those stories. There's very few male gods in the Egyptian pantheon that I can think of that don't have some sort of story like that. Zeus, of course, is one of the worst. And even though I know in my heart that those stories probably aren't accurate, I can't get that out of my head. So that's why I tend to not connect to male deities much. The Egyptian pantheon, I feel like, is much less of that. Like my computer's going to sleep. Which may be one of the other reasons I like the Egyptian pantheon so much. So, that's deities. I think I've covered enough on that for now. Alright, so I've already mentioned that I believe in spirit guides. I believe there are spiritual beings that we don't necessarily see all the time. All different types. Like, all different types exist. I believe fairies exist, dragons, mermaids, but I believe they're all spiritual beings. I believe angels exist too. I just believe they're another type of spiritual being, with a different purpose to, say, a fairy. I just think there's a ton of different spiritual beings out there, and we can call on them to help us if we feel connected to them. So, I find that there's actually a lot of help out there for us, but most spiritual beings are going to have their own personalities and thoughts, just like we do. They may not want to work with you. It's a possibility, you know. I do some spell work. I don't do a lot of spell work. I don't do a lot of spells. I tend to do more simple spells because I'm not big on all the fanfare. Like, I don't tend to do big rituals where I have to set up my altar and you know, cast a circle 3 times. Well, cast the circle, but like walk it 3 times and have all of these various tools. That's more of a Wiccan thing. And there's some others that do it too, but that's part of the Wicca that I don't do. I prefer more practical stuff. I also believe that you can visualize and put intention into anything. Like, if I actually do feel like I need to cast a circle, I do so in my mind. I don't actually physically walk a circle and verbally call elements to guard it for me and that sort of thing. I do it all in my mind. I do meditate daily, and that helps with that. I'm very visual in my mind, so picturing stuff is very easy for me. Which is good for me. I don't really do much in the way of ritual, but I do try to work with the moon phases and like what would be good during those times, because I do work with the moon a lot. Another thing the Wiccans follow is the Wheel of the Year, which has Sabbats throughout the year. Like Halloween is Samhain, summer solstice is Lither, with winter solstice is Yule, things like that. I'm not real big on Sabbats. I don't find that something that I'm interested in. The Sabbats were mainly going through harvesting times. So like when it's time to harvest, when things are growing, when things are dying, that sort of thing. And there's this whole story that goes with the Wheel of the Year that I'm not fond of. It has to do with the goddess and God in the form of the Holly King and the Oak King. And I'm not I don't believe that story at all. Not even a little. So I don't connect to the Sabbats. I do like the solstices, winter solstice, summer solstice, and the equinoxes, spring and fall equinox. I like those because it's when the seasons change. And I may or may not do anything magical for them, but I think about it. I work with it a little. And then the moon phases I work with. The rest of the Sabbats I don't really pay much attention to. I do like Halloween, so I do stuff for Halloween occasionally. That is and always has been my favorite holiday. That's really about the only one I really do anything for. And I don't always. So, let's see, what have we talked about? We've talked about how I started as a Wiccan. We've talked about how you don't have to have a religion to do tarot or be a witch. We've talked about deities and reincarnation and elements and spiritual things and magic and Sabbats. We've talked about a lot of things. I can tell because my throat's starting to hurt. We're a little over 30 minutes now. 35, something like that. Alright, I am going to end this one here. I think we've covered enough about my beliefs. But I'm sure there's things I didn't cover. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below on YouTube. If you're watching this on my blog, go to YouTube, please. And comment on it and I'll answer. So if there's anything I missed, or you want more details on something, or you have a question about something for yourself, if you want the question to be more personal, maybe don't want to put it out there, you can use the contact me form on my blog if you would like. So, alright, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you enjoyed the first Witchy Wednesday. Let me know if there's anything in particular you would like to see on Witchy Wednesdays as well, and I'll see what I can do. So, I will see you all in my next video. Blessings, so many blessings, moon blessings, all of that fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.